Once in a position of power himself, Joel Greenberg is now at the mercy of a judge and federal officials. The former Seminole County tax collector pleads guilty to half a dozen federal charges. We are live with how Greenberg's next moves could impact his own fate.
To mask or not to mask, the CDC's mask-free guidance to fully vaccinated people is still causing some confusion, while you'll still need to bring one to some local businesses.
And it's happening again. The urgent plea from police as officers work to track down the driver in the area's latest deadly hit and run.
WESH 2 News starts now with breaking news.
He said the word guilty 6 times in federal court.
Now the next step for former Seminole County tax collector is sentencing. Joel Greenberg admitted to a range of charges, including sex trafficking of a minor, all part of an investigation that could put Greenberg on the witness stand testifying against others, including Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz.
WESH 2 News political and investigative reporter Greg Fox is live at the federal courthouse in Orlando. Greg, what did Greenberg's attorney say about Gaetz?
When asked by reporters if Greenberg had information on other elected officials, in particular if it had to do with any sex trafficking, the response from Fritz Scheller, the attorney from Greenberg, was, "I guess this is must-see television. You'll just have to wait and see." Let's take you inside the federal courthouse for this hearing today. It lasted less than an hour, and Greenberg admitted guilt to the 6 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor, a 17-year-old girl. The pleading also says he paid $70,000 to arrange for women to have sex with himself and others. Greenberg also pled guilty to aggravated identity theft, stalking a former political rival, wire fraud, and that was to steal Seminole County tax dollars through his elected office, and trying to steal more than $430,000 in federal COVID-19 business relief money. The judge also indicated Greenberg could see a downward adjustment in sentencing depending on his cooperation with the government in other investigations, but Congressman Matt Gaetz was not mentioned by name.
Mr. Greenberg has pled guilty pursuant to a plea agreement. It has certain requirements and obligations on him. And he intends to honor that. Why is it a good deal? We'll see. You know, I think that remains to be seen.
Greenberg's stalking victim and former political opponent Brian Butte told reporters the reason Greenberg was able to commit so much of the public money, theft of public money, is because the state system for oversight of tax collectors is broken and needs to be fixed. Question is, how much time behind bars might Greenberg spend? 2 of the counts, including the sex trafficking of a minor, come with a total 12 years minimum mandatory sentence. But again, Scheller said today you can't really go by that. They'll know more as they do a pre-sentence investigation and as they see the cooperation from Greenberg in other cases. It's likely that sentencing will happen sometime in August. Live in Orlando at the federal courthouse, Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
Okay, Greg, thank you. And as Greg touched upon, part of Greenberg's plea includes the admission that he engaged with and paid for sex with a minor. There's a line in the agreement that states Greenberg introduced the minor to other adult men who engaged in commercial sex acts with the minor. Greenberg's agreement includes his cooperation with federal investigators. Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz is not mentioned by name in this agreement. He is currently, though, under investigation by the Justice Department, though he has denied any wrongdoing and has not been charged with any crime. Greenberg's attorney was also asked if Gaetz or possibly any other elected official should be worried about Greenberg's cooperation. He responded saying it will be must-see TV. A Gaetz spokesperson tells WESH 2 in a statement, Mr. Greenberg has now confessed to falsely accusing an innocent man of having sex with a minor. But if you want to know what must-see TV looks like, tune in for Representative Gaetz' speech. He's referring to an upcoming rally in Arizona planned for Friday. WESH 2 will continue to bring you comprehensive coverage of the Joel Greenberg case and where it leads. Stay with us on air and online for the latest coverage.
Today, President Joe Biden spoke from the White House on his administration's COVID-19 response and the vaccination program. President Biden announced that nearly 60% of American adults have now received at least one COVID-19 vaccine shot. He says it has taken less than 4 months to go from 6% to 60%.
By tomorrow, 60% of all American adults will have received at least one shot. Look what we've done. Look what we've done, America. Look at what you've done, America.
The president also said today that for the first time since the pandemic began, COVID-19 cases are down in all 50 states. He added that deaths from COVID-19 are down by 81%. The president also announced today that the U.S. will share an additional 20 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines with the world in the coming 6 weeks. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the doses would come from existing U.S. production of Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson vaccine stocks. It isn't yet clear which countries will receive them. The administration previously committed to share about 60 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine by the end of June.
Let's get a look at where the vaccine rollout stands tonight across the state. Nearly 45% of people in our state have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine so far. That's 9.6 million people, according to the Department of Health. Just over 35% of the state is considered fully vaccinated. More than 11 million people have yet to get a shot, or roughly 55% of the population. Now, the CDC's latest guidance has made masks mostly optional for those who are fully vaccinated, but businesses can still enforce their own requirements, and those vary widely.
And as West 2's Amanda Dukes explains, the best advice is likely to keep a mask at hand because you may still need it.
If you've been out and about the past few days, chances are you've experienced what some are calling mask confusion. To mask or not to mask? That is the burning question.
If you're fully vaccinated against COVID-19, the CDC says you can mostly go ahead and stop wearing your mask inside and out. But private businesses can still impose mask requirements.
It definitely has been a confusion, but I've been just trying to stick to what I know right now, and right now it feels like I think that the mask is working.
Continuing to wear a mask will be the choice for some people. Meantime, each day businesses are announcing new policies. Here's what West 2 News has gathered so far. Among the retailers making masks optional for fully vaccinated customers are Target, Walmart, Publix, Costco, Starbucks, Trader Joe's, and CVS. As for Orlando's theme parks, fully vaccinated visitors to Disney and Universal can remove masks when outdoors, except when on an attraction, in line, or riding transportation. Masks remain mandatory indoors unless seated and dining at a restaurant. And SeaWorld is going a step further, allowing all fully vaccinated guests to remove their masks throughout the park. It's important to know the CDC still recommends masks be worn by everyone in healthcare settings, airports and other transportation hubs, and on planes and public transportation. So the answer to the question, to mask or not to mask, is not clear, as the requirements vary from place to place. But one thing is for sure. You'd be wise to still keep a mask close at hand. In Orange County, Amanda Dukes, West 2 News.
And it's a good idea to do some research before you travel. As of this morning, unlike Florida, 21 state governments still require people to wear face coverings in most indoor public settings. Kennedy Space Center is updating its mask guidelines following the CDC. Starting today, guests who have been fully vaccinated will not be required to wear masks outside. All guests will still have to wear a face covering indoors, though. Indoor locations include attraction lines, viewing areas, and restaurants. Social distancing will still be required as well. The visitor complex is still limiting attendance. Soccer fans rejoice. Exploria Stadium will soon allow fans at full capacity. The new rules start with the Orlando Pride's June 20th and Orlando City's June 22nd home games. The Pride plays Gotham FC and the city plays the San Jose Earthquakes. All seats in the stadium will be available, subject to the league's current rules and guidelines. Health and safety protocols remain in place, including hand sanitation stands and strict cleaning.
When we look at Florida's average daily count of new infections, the trends continue to drop. Today, the state reported just under 2,000 new infections, and we are averaging about 3,100 new infections per day. Infections among children are also at their lowest levels nationwide since October. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, children accounted for 24% of the new cases reported late last week. As of May 13th, more than 3.9 million children have tested positive since the beginning of the pandemic. Children are still considered much less likely than adults to develop severe symptoms of COVID-19 or to die from the disease.
West 2 is getting you the facts on the vax. We asked you to submit your questions about the COVID-19 vaccine, and boy, did you deliver. So starting tomorrow in every single newscast, we've got doctors answering some of the most asked questions. Get the facts on the vax all this week right here on West 2 News. It is jarring video that we first showed you on Friday. A gunman opening fire at a gas station, hitting one person and several parked cars.
Now investigators say the man in this video is behind bars. WESH News' Bob Hazen spoke to witnesses who explained the horror that unfolded that night.
One witness told me he saw the victim on the ground near that gas pump, which also was hit by the gunfire. The suspect is now in custody, but still no real answers about what led up to this shooting. This is the mugshot for Ahmaud Bourget in the Osceola County Jail. He was booked there this weekend after the sheriff's office released this wild video showing a man firing a gun into apparently random cars at the Wawa on West Vine Street Thursday night. Investigators say Bourget was caught thanks to tips from the public. WESH 2 also learned one man was hurt in the shooting. We saw a large amount of blood on the ground near a gas pump that was also hit and bullet holes in a display. I talked to a man who witnessed the attack, and he says it happened after Bourget said to the victim, "Yo, what's up?"
So I kept walking past, and I was about 50 feet from the shooter as he fired. I turned around, I saw the muzzle flashes. I ran inside Wawa, and I told everybody to get down and call the cops. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced.
Bourget is in jail for attempted murder, and court documents show he lives a few miles from the Wawa, but the sheriff's office has not yet revealed what, if anything, prompted the shooting or how serious the injuries are for the person who was hurt. In Osceola County, Bob Hazen, WESH 2 News.
He is currently being held in jail with a $1 million bond.
A world-renowned skydiver was killed this weekend in what is now being called a freak accident at Skydive DeLand. It happened early Sunday when the victim, 76-year-old Carl Doherty, was jumping with 7 friends. Now, this is a picture of Doherty shared by the multimedia organization Growing Boulder. Doherty's parachute and one of his friend's parachute collided mid-air, ricocheting off each other.
Carl's collapsed a little bit, started turning, and it didn't entail him the time to utilize his reserve parachute.
Skydive DeLand owner Bob Hallett says Doherty fell from between 200 and 500 feet and did not survive. The other skydiver did land safely, though. Doherty, with over 50 years in the skydiving industry, worked in safety and training at Skydive DeLand.
She's been missing for a week, and now there's fears a 12-year-old may be living on the streets of Central Florida.
Coming up at 5:30, the alert from local investigators and what neighbors tell us about the search for this young girl.
Plus, a shocking discovery. A woman's body found inside of a local apartment building. The questions investigators are asking tonight.
And a deadly hit and run. Why investigators say they are convinced the driver knew they hit someone, but sped away anyway. Tony?
And right now we continue to track some fast-moving showers coming in off of the Atlantic. We'll time them out for you hour by hour and county by county, all straight ahead.
A man is hit and killed this morning in Orlando, and the driver never even stopped.
Hit and runs continue to be an issue across Central Florida. Nearly a dozen pedestrians killed in Orlando this year alone. WESH News' Dave McDaniel looks into this latest case and why local officers are asking for help.
That, having 11 pedestrian fatalities this year alone for the Orlando Police Department is too many.
A man was either in or close to the crosswalk at the intersection of Orange Avenue and Gore Street a little after 5 this morning when he was hit by an SUV heading north.
It struck the pedestrian in the front portion and on the hood of the vehicle, and then it fled.
According to the Orlando Police Department, the SUV was heading north on Orange Avenue in this lane, and the man was trying to cross Orange coming from the west side over to the east side. They say he was almost to the sidewalk when he was hit. Police say they're looking for a silver Kia Soul, and investigators are trying to sharpen a video image they've received from a camera in the area. They say the person driving should know very well they hit someone.
It appears that there's significant damage, especially to the front hood area, where you would know that you hit something.
Police say they have been able to identify the pedestrian, but aren't naming him publicly until they can properly notify his family. Leaving the scene of a crash ending in death is a crime. Investigators are asking anyone with information to reach out.
If anybody knows or knows of the driver, to notify the Orlando Police Department Traffic Homicide Section.
Or you can call Crime Line at 800-423-TIPS. This message for the driver.
People under pressure, they make mistakes, but there's a way to rectify that mistake, and it's to come forward.
In Orlando, Dave McDaniel, WESH 2 News.
Again, police are looking for a silver Kia Soul, which should have significant front-end damage.
The Federal Aviation Administration wants to fine an airline passenger $52,000 after it says that passenger tried to get into the cockpit of a Delta flight that left Honolulu and was heading for Seattle in December. The FAA says the passenger assaulted a flight attendant in the process. Crew members and another passenger restrained him in plastic handcuffs, but he broke free and allegedly hit the flight attendant in the face again. The FAA launched a zero-tolerance policy against unruly behavior in January, and since then, the agency has received 1,300 reports, but only fined 17 passengers. Typically, the maximum fine is $35,000. Meanwhile, the TSA says Americans are rushing to travel again, flying at 70% of pre-pandemic levels. The administration screened more than 1.8 million people at airports on Sunday alone. That is the most since March 8th of last year. The new number is an 8% increase over the same day a week ago and more than 6 times greater than the depressed figures of a year ago. United Airlines said demand for travel this summer is high enough that it is adding more flights and seats to its schedule in July.
Tonight, from terrorism to our local housing crisis, NBC Nightly News is teaming up with WESH 2 to put a nationwide spotlight on the issues impacting us here at home.
Day one of our Across America series as we look at a country slowly bouncing back from the depths of the pandemic. We start in Orlando. Obviously, tourism, a lifeblood here. So many things are going in the right direction, except the cruise ship industry. We'll tell you why they're still tied up at the dock, literally and figuratively, when we see you tonight from Orlando on Nightly News.
You will also meet a U.S. Paralympian and gold medalist who lives here in Orlando and hear how she is working to inspire the next generation of athletes.
How has your story inspired other people?
I think the biggest thing is if they can see it, they can do it. So if you see someone that looks like you, limb difference, color, background, where you come from geographically, if they see someone achieving something that you want to do, it inspires them to go out and try it.
Those stories and much more when you join NBC's Lester Holt and WESH 2's Sonica Donge for NBC Nightly News. Across America begins live from Orlando at 6:30 here on WESH 2.
Weather-wise, we are comfortable and a little breezy out there, but we do have some sprinkles across our area. Let's go ahead and get you over to Chief Meteorologist Tony Manolfi to explain. Tony?
Yeah, nothing too major, and that's going to be the highlight in one of our headlines. Again, a few fast-moving showers. Dangerous rip currents, too, today and tomorrow. In fact, just had a gentleman tell me there was a rescue moments ago up in Ormond Beach. Thankfully, everyone's okay. And then the heat humidity build back in towards the weekend with the big-time heat on the way for next week. Back outside, Tower Cam Newark again. A few clouds out there. 81 degrees. Wind is out of the east-northeast now at about 15 miles an hour. Steady diet of east winds at the surface. Upper flow, though, is west to east. But in between, we are talking about the showers that came through I-95, Daytona Beach a short time ago. A little smoke there for our friends in Lake County. A few showers are going to go by to the north of the control burn there, unfortunately. Then we head a little further to the south. A few sprinkles here. Bithlow, Wedgefield, over towards Conway, Azalea Park, Dean Road. And then farther to the east, we had a few showers in and around the Titusville area. These continue to work off towards the west now at a brisk pace at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Even a few sprinkles in and around the attractions, again, not going to amount to much. Temperatures along the coast in the upper 70s. You work your way back in through the interior. We are running in the low 80s. Look at the steady diet now of east winds 10 to 20 miles. Now we've had wind gusts upwards of 25, and that's going to allow for a few evening sprinkles. Again, not a lot. Don't cancel any plans, but just know that a few of you may have a few little showers that will be in and out fairly quickly. Wind will be calming, though, by the 11 o'clock hour. Temperatures will be steady in the mid-70s, dropping into the mid-60s in town, closer to 70 to 75, though, closer to the ocean where those Atlantic waters are quite warm and a little bit cooler north and west in the low 60s. Now, the setup for tonight and tomorrow has that big dome of high pressure just to the north and the east, so the pattern doesn't really change. We'll have the breeze, we'll have a couple of showers, and those rip currents will persist yet again come Tuesday afternoon. So if you're heading to the coast there, enjoy yourselves, but just be careful. Again, rip risk is high. Seas running 4 to 6 feet. High tide 226 on into the afternoon. The other event taking place along the coast tomorrow is our launch, 1:31 in the afternoon. We'll watch the cumulus clouds and the breeze, but otherwise I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Looking ahead now to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. High pressure still in control of our weather pattern, keeping all the deeper moisture into the western Gulf of Mexico. And with this steady diet of east winds, that means yet again the chance for those lingering rip current concerns. Now, Saturday on into Sunday, those temperatures begin to climb as that heat and humidity builds in on the backside of high pressure. Tropically speaking, things are fairly quiet, although in the month of June, we do start looking into the northern and the northeastern portion there of the Gulf of Mexico. 15 days away now, folks, from the start of hurricane season through Friday. Not too bad. Into the weekend, the heat will build. Guys, back to you.
A life-changing decision. People in Latin American countries say they are coming to the U.S. for a vaccine. And some are making their way into Florida in big waves, what's driving some to leave their own country for a dose. And a wild video next at 5 as a truck comes barreling off the highway, slamming right into a fuel pump at a gas station. How employees saved the day. Wow. Workers at a California gas station spring into action when a vehicle slams right into a fuel pump. That truck was coming off a nearby highway exit when the driver lost control.
I see the bottom of this truck just flying through. It was amazing, man.
Video is wow. Employees quickly shut off the fuel supply, ran over to check on that driver. Get this, no one was seriously injured in this crash.
Amazing.
Yeah. Fearing for her safety, deputies frantically trying to find a 12-year-old missing for a week.
Where local investigators are focusing their efforts right now and what they believe may have led up to her disappearance.
Plus, a woman's body discovered inside of a local apartment building. The questions investigators are still working to answer tonight.
And the CDC called it a moment we've all been waiting for, why at least one group says that's not the case and is pushing for a reversal after fully vaccinated Americans were told they could mostly go mask-free.
WESH 2 News continues.
Orange County Sheriff's deputies are asking for the public's help finding a missing 12-year-old girl.
The teen has a history of running away, but as WESH 2's Amanda Dukes explains, investigators are worried for her safety due to her age and the fact that she may be living on the streets.
Mia Daniela Caggiano is just 12 years old and has been missing since May 10th, over a week. She was last seen around 11:30 in the morning, leaving the Motel 6 on Addison Street off Lee Road. Orange County Sheriff's deputies say the young girl left after an argument with a parent. Deputies have been circulating a missing person poster in the area and say while Mia is considered an habitual runaway, the fact that she's only 12 and possibly living on the street or with friends raises serious concern for her safety.
They was passing out flyers, and I still have this flyer in my room. And when I go out, I try to, keep my eyes peeled for it.
Residents who live in the area say deputies have gone door to door asking for help.
The officer came to my door and said that she was missing, if I seen her, and I said no. And I said that we would be looking for her, me and Ruby.
Dennis Gallagher lives at the Motel 6 with his dog and says everyone in the area is on the lookout.
Clerks working in the front office here at the Motel 6 told me that the young girl and her parents only stayed at this motel for a few days. They don't know where the parents are now, and the workers told me they too are keeping an eye out for young Mia.
Mia is about 5'5" with brown hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding her whereabouts, you should contact the Orange County Sheriff's Office. In Orange County, Amanda Dukes, WESH 2 News.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office says deputies have been actively searching for Mia, but welcome any and all tips.
New video out of Volusia County shows a chase involving a suspect wanted in connection with several crimes across Central Florida. Deputies tell us that Thomas Dugan has stolen from several gym lockers earlier this month. The most recent was a theft from an Anytime Fitness in Ormond Beach. Now, detectives say he was caught using a victim's credit card at a store. He also is suspected in a car break-in at an Orange City Planet Fitness. He's now facing multiple criminal charges.
We have some breaking news now at 5:30. Bob Baffert has been temporarily suspended from entering horses at New York racetracks pending an investigation of the failed drug test by Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit. Baffert's ban in New York includes races at Belmont Park, with the Belmont Stakes being run on June 5th. Baffert not committed to entering any horses in the third leg of the Triple Crown, but had many in consideration for other races on Belmont Stakes Day. Derby winner Medina Spirit tested positive for steroid and post-race testing and faces disqualification unless a second test comes back negative. Medina Spirit finished third in the Preakness on Saturday. Let's get now to our coronavirus coverage at 5:30 and the latest on the vaccine rollout. Nearly 273 million doses of COVID vaccines have been administered in the United States. That accounts for 47% of the population having at least one vaccine dose at this time. And when we look at the nation as a whole and who is considered fully vaccinated, that's over 122 million people, or 37%.